Hello class and welcome to Inner Calm 101. Today we are going to discuss releasing your inner rage onto a metaphorical punching bag. Today we have that punching bag in the form of a god-awful TV show that is in desperate need of being ripped a new one. Let's get into it. What's up guys, Mason the Brock Anderson here, and this is Fear the Walking Dead Season 5 Episode 11, You're Still Here. I'm just bored. I'm here and I'm bored. Like, this shouldn't be this boring and this uninteresting, but it is. Like, I look at the story that Morgan's got going right now. This should be an interesting story. I should be a lot more connected to this story, but I'm not. Because the setup and the surrounding issues with his story do not interest me. It's very similar to the last episode between Morgan and Grace. That story, it wasn't bad, it's just not interesting. They're not doing anything new with it. These characters are not really connecting on the level that they should be to make this story a lot more, I don't want to keep using the word interesting, but yeah, it's boring. Because when I describe what's going on with Morgan, it sounds like it should be more fun. He's dealing with the loss of his wife and child finally. He's trying to find a way past it because there's still something about that that's holding him back. That's why he didn't want to make connections originally. And so while he's managed to learn to make connections, he's learned to get past that initial part, he still hasn't gotten to the root of the cause, which is he's still mourning his wife and son. He still can't get past that part. And so you've got that story, and the two parts of it is you've got Grace, who might have some romantic interest there, so a new woman in his life, and then you've got Logan trying to use that as a way to prod him a little bit and try to get up under his skin. So you've got two stories that directly correlate to what he's going through with his wife and kid. And yet, you look at the details of those stories, and that's where it all falls apart. With Grace, it's not just a new woman coming into his life, and there might be some interest there. First of all, it's very rushed, like I said in the last episode. They go from two people who kind of knew each other. He helped her a bit back at the reactor, all of that. But then all of a sudden in this one episode, they're together at a mall, and suddenly they start to feel romantic between the two of them, coming out of nowhere in one episode. On top of that, it's not just about that connection between the two of them. You've also got what Grace is going through, this feeling that she might not have long because of the possible radiation poisoning. And that's something he also has to think about, is the prospect of losing her. So it's not just a new woman coming into his life and can he get over the loss of his wife, but also she might not be here for very long, so does he want to make that connection to begin with? So now you've given another reason for them to maybe have some reasons not to get together outside of just his wife and kid. And because of that, now the wife and kid thing doesn't seem as big of a deal when it should be the big deal, because that's what you're trying to show for him right now as he's dealing with that. With Logan, you've got the main villain for the second half of the season, the main guy trying to push the team, trying to cause issues for them, and he's using Morgan's wife and kid as a way to get up under his skin. That should be something that when he says that, when he uses that line, and Morgan slams him up against the truck, I should be sitting here going, Morgan, don't do it. You know what he's trying to do, man. Come on, don't do it. You're going to get yourself killed. Like, I should be invested. I should be worried for Morgan. But first of all, I'm not worried Morgan's going to die because it's a random episode. They're not going to kill him off in a random episode. But also, Logan is not an interesting villain. They've given him all of these vague lines. I'm assuming they're trying to get the audience intrigued. They're trying to be mysterious about, well, what are his actual goals? Oh, well, this is big boy stuff and big girl stuff. You wouldn't understand. Oh, okay. Oh, that's deep. This is big boy stuff. He's talking about the big picture. Shut up. Like, this is such obvious bullshit that's trying to draw the audience in. And the fact of the matter is, like, he's not even really trying to do much. In this episode, he's got Morgan and Al basically captured. It's not like they're going to be able to do anything. They've got all these guns. There's like 7 or 8 of them and 2 of Morgan and Al. All they'd have to do is take him prisoner. And now he reaches out to the group and says, hey, we've got Morgan and Al. If you want to see them live, give us the information for the oil fields. Doesn't do that. Just lets them go. How is that supposed to be intimidating as a villain? And I'm guessing they're using that one line he threw out, I've grown kind of fond of you guys. I guess they're using that as like his reasoning for not going after him. But if these oil fields are as important as he says to his big picture or whatever, then I feel like he'd be willing to do whatever it took to get the information about those fields. And yet, when he's got Morgan and Al two of the most prominent members of that group, he just lets them go. So is it a big deal or not? But again, that's part of why I'm taken out of this story that should be more interesting. I should feel for it. I should feel for Morgan and what he's going through. I feel nothing because the show is not done well. So it's just really, really unfortunate that's where we are with this show. That even the stories that sound good on the surface, when you really dig into it, when you watch it, when you experience it, there's nothing there. It feels hollow. It feels like there's nothing of substance actually within this story. And that's so disappointing. And it does make me worried for the rest of the season and the rest of the series, because I was of the assumption that once Morgan was on the show, things would pick up because he's a good character. But the fact of the matter is, him being on the show does not change the fact that the show's writing is god-awful. They don't know what they're doing with it. They think they're so clever with their writing. I mean, Alicia's story is a perfect example. They're doing this storytelling that I can tell as they're writing it, they're probably sitting there going, oh, I'm such a genius. Like, she's sitting out there, she doesn't want to kill walkers because she's having PTSD, guys. Oh, isn't that deep? Oh, yeah, because one walker that she killed one time in this area where there's all this radiation, she was worried about getting radiation poisoning from that one walker, and so now that's made it to where she can't kill any walker, even though they're nowhere near a radiation plant. There's no reason why these walkers would be radiated to begin with. But now she's scared, guys, because PTSD that deep. And then she meets this West guy. There's definitely a connection there, by the way. They're gonna hook up. It's so blatantly obvious. I'm sure they think they're being clever and subtle with it, but it's blatantly obvious to me. If they don't at this point, I will be shocked. I will be surprised, because they have set it up so clearly that the two of them are going to hook up at some point. And there's nothing really there. He's kind of an asshole. He kills this one guy because he took his manuscript, and there was that connection with apparently he's writing it for his brother or whatever, but he's still an asshole at the end of the day. But the fact that this is what it took, her meeting him, realizing he's the one that's been painting this stuff, learning about his story, now she's at the point she can kill walkers again. She's moved past it, and now she's going to start painting her own stuff. No one's gone till they're gone. Whatever. Like, the fact that she wasn't willing to kill walkers in the first place was already dumb. The amount of times she put people in danger, including herself, because she didn't want to kill a walker is ridiculous. I like the idea that she doesn't want to kill the walker because she's worried, what if I kill it and it gets blood on me and then it gets like in my mouth or something? I could die from that. You know how else you could die? If one of these walkers bit you because you didn't kill them. Whoa! So it's just stupid shit like that absolutely pisses me off. Not to mention this whole setup whenever they get to this place, because he was trying to steal back the manuscript, or Wes was trying to steal back the manuscript from this random dude. This whole setup is ridiculous, because not only do they get in there, and then Wes takes some shots, the guy runs away. I guess Alicia and Strand just sort of watch him run past them and to the truck to get in the truck and steal it. So now they're holed up there and kind of shit out of luck, because all the weapons that they have are all riot gear, which there are apparently guns inside, but sure, let's just use the guns that are in the cars. But they're all riot gear, so they have, the bean bags, they have tear gas, which then makes Strand blind for the rest of the episode. Is that how tear gas works? I actually don't even know. I don't think that's the case. I thought it was more so, like, it does make your eyes water and it's hard to see, but then once you wash it out, you're fine. I've never heard of people going blind for like a few hours after seeing through tear gas. Also, as soon as he says it's tear gas, they don't just immediately go inside. They just stand out in it, coughing and breathing and looking through it. What the hell's that about? But now this sets up to where Wes doesn't want to help them because he's an asshole. And so now Alicia is trying to work up the courage because Strand is now blind. It's just all of this stuff that, once again, is happenstance that shouldn't really logically be happening to set up to where now things look more dire than they actually are. Turns into well, now Wes has to step up. Okay, whatever. Also, once again, you've got walkers banging outside of glass doors that don't break until later on in the episode. Whenever you get to the climax, that's when the glass doors or the glass windows break. Can we stop with this shit? My God, it's not gonna take walkers several hours to break through glass, will it? Maybe I'm wrong about that. It feels ridiculous that they have 30-something walkers outside the door. Maybe it's made of stronger material that's not as easy to break through. It still feels ridiculous when it's like, oh, the glass isn't breaking, but now that we're in a climactic moment where we need tension, now the glass is going to break because we need it to, for the sake of audience, be scared that either Alicia or Strand could die from this random walker in the 3rd episode of the 2nd half of the season. I swear, I'm at this point where every single time one of the characters looks like they're about to die from some random walker, I roll my eyes. I want to punch somebody because it pisses me off every time they do this because, again, we're not stupid. We've seen what you do with the show. Outside of Jim, who is a random dude who we met like 2nd half of last season, who had never killed a walker before somehow, outside of him, nobody gets bit in this show. It doesn't happen, at least main character-wise. Characters don't die from walker attacks. Oh, this show is just, it's bringing back some of the frustration. And again, I think that's also part of why I can't really get invested in some of these stories that do sound more interesting, because overall, this episode still sucks. Every time we have a slight interesting moment with Morgan, we have to still cut back to Alicia and Strand and their stupidity, and it just sucks. It takes me out of it. I don't know. I'm just watching at this point just to see what happens, see where some of these characters end up. Because trying to watch this show for actual enjoyment, it's not possible. And I should have known this coming in. I should have realized it doesn't matter what they do. The writing still sucks. But I just gave in to the idea that, well, people said it got better, and Morgan's on the show now. John's a better character. Some of these characters are changing for the better. Maybe it will get better. Now, we are in the shit, and we're here to stay. So with all that being said, on to the next episode. I'll see you there. And now episode 12, Ner Tamid. And get ready for this one. More stupidity, more bad writing. Another good episode of the Fear the Walking Dead then. I can't explain how they could possibly be getting paid for writing the shit that they do. There's just no thought process used in any of it. Like, first of all, you've got this whole setup of this rabbi played by the guy that played Taub on House, so it's really hard to take him seriously. It's been a while since I've watched House, but his character was such a piece of shit from what I remember on that show, so anytime I see him in anything, I know the guy is probably perfectly fine, but I just always have that image of him from House. And so it's hard whenever he plays another character to look at his character like he's going to be a nice guy, which, I mean, ultimately in the end we find out he's kind of a piece of shit at times in this one too. But I think by the end of it, he's still considered a nice guy. But you look at just this whole setup of him, what he's been through, leaving the congregation because he lost his faith and then coming back and they're all dead, so he locks them in this place. Like, it's just not a good setup. It doesn't really lead to anything. I mean, I guess it technically does because there's stuff with the story that gets moving because Charlie finds him and draws June and John away with the SWAT van. So I guess in that sense, yes, things do happen. But really, when you think about what does this story do? Nothing really. Charlie's looking for a place to go, but she can't find it in this place. June's been thinking they just need to keep moving and they'll focus on stopping somewhere later, but then she realizes maybe they need to think about it more so now because people are getting tired. So it feels like the most minuscule character changes in this one, and not done well either. Focusing on some of the big issues here. First of all, once again, we've got all of these walkers inside this building with doors that are mostly made of glass, and the glass isn't breaking. Despite all of the walkers pushing against it, all, 50 or 60 of them inside the building pushing up against the glass, not breaking. Apparently there's a little wooden board that came out, so these walkers are like crawling through it now. But then all of a sudden the glass breaks because now we need tension, so now the glass is able to be broken by the walkers. Can we stop doing this? Every damn episode we've had this stupid ass shit. Why? I don't get it. I don't get why they think this is not gonna get old to see walkers pushed up against the glass window or door that doesn't break and then just randomly breaks whenever they need to add tension to the show. It doesn't make sense. Things don't just randomly start happening like this. If the glass is able to be broken by walkers, it's going to get broken by them when they start pushing up against it, not a random hour later or however long it took after he went to go see them. It's not just going to randomly break a little while later. That's not how that works. If there's enough pressure being forced by them onto the glass, it's going to break right then and there. And especially after he leaves, that means they're not going to keep pressing up against the glass because he's gone. They don't have anything to go after anymore. So they're going to stop. And yet with him gone, now all of a sudden they're able to put more force on it and break it. That doesn't make sense. If you're going to have something like that happen where the walkers can't get out, but then something happens that allows them to get out, make it make sense. Make it to where they're trapped inside the building, and maybe there's been a leak for a while or something, and so something has been eroding for a long time. And then it just takes this one moment that breaks the thing down. Whatever it is. It can be happenstance, but at least make it make sense. This does not make sense. So you've already got that. You've also got the fact that June and John, to go get Charlie, they just take the SWAT van. Why? You guys have all these cars and trucks, and you take the one thing that's supposed to be able to protect the tanker? Why would you do that? Like they even talked about in the last episode why Morgan and Al can't take the SWAT van and use it to get past Logan and his people, because they need it with that tanker at all times. Yet in this one moment, for some reason, June and John are like, hey, you know what? To go get Charlie, I think it's okay to leave the tanker completely unguarded. That's smart. And also, is it really that unguarded? Because they do have all of these guns. Why couldn't they fight for the tanker there? Why did they have to go leave everybody unguarded, by the way? So it feels like Logan and his men could have just, I don't know, taken hostages or something. But no, instead they just drive away with the tanker and all these trucks are following them. Why? I don't know. None of this really makes sense. When you put a little bit, just a tiny little bit of logical thought process into John and June taking the SWAT van, doesn't make sense. Why do they drive the SWAT van away when you have this little circle you've created with all these trucks and cars and you have weapons? Why would you just drive away? Why would you leave that protection? Even without the SWAT van, it's still pretty well protected. On top of that, something that I didn't talk about in the last episode, which normally if I miss something and I remember it later, I just try to quickly put a little blurb in and insert it in editing at one point. As this episode started to go on, I realized, no, this is an issue in this episode too, so I'll address it now. Logan and his group are like omniscient. They don't really give any explanation outside of, oh, well, they can just listen in on the walkies. Well, we don't know how they know what channel to listen in on. And obviously, they said channel 4, but that doesn't mean that that's how they communicate with each other. They probably communicated on a different channel. Logan and his team just somehow figure it out. Do they just have walkies that are on every channel? On top of that, what I was going to talk about in the last episode that I forgot to is the fact that they just found this bank that apparently Morgan and Al left all of these tapes in. Did they ever mention the bank they were going to? I don't think they did. And yet Logan just shows up there. And then despite the fact that he doesn't have access to the journals, all he has access to is the tapes. Because I'm pretty sure they would not have left tapes in there that would have led them to where the oil fields are. I don't think they'd be that dumb. They would probably keep those tapes with them at all times. And yet, at the end of this episode, Logan is showing up at where seemingly the oil fields are. He could be wrong. We could go into the next episode and find out, actually, that's not where they are. But I'm assuming that's where it's going to be, because Logan and his group are omniscient. They just know everything at all times. So once again, it feels like the writing team just sort of giving them what they need to move the plot along without actually thinking if it makes sense or not. The other thing, too, is if they don't have any gas, how the hell are they still getting around? They've talked about how the gas is bad, and the only good gas is what Morgan and his group have. So they don't have access to gas anymore, and yet they continue to drive around as much as Morgan and his group are. That doesn't make sense. They would have run out of gas at this point, unless they still have just some sort of stockpile somewhere that is running low, but they still just barely have enough to keep up with Morgan and his group. But if they do, then you need to show us that, because if not, then we're all going to be sitting here, at least people who use their brains, because obviously some people would just turn their brains off and not think about the fact that they shouldn't have this much gas. But if you're going to use your brains as a writing team, then you have to at least show us, no, they have stockpiled some gas. They do have some oil left so that they can at least keep up with Morgan's group for just a little while longer while they continue to search for the oil fields. But as it is, it just feels like they have just barely enough left in their cars from, I don't know from when. I also got more of Sarah in this episode, so that's fun. Because anytime she's heavily involved in an episode, I just have so much fun listening to her little one-liners and her talking like a character from a sitcom and not acting like a real person in these scenarios. It's so much fun. It's so fun to see a character who clearly doesn't fit a show be in the show. They need to do this more often. Like in all these really dramatic shows, they need to just start injecting these characters out of absolutely nowhere that are the most goofy, clowny pieces of shit that you've ever seen in your life. Just throw them in there. Why not? It's going to add to the drama, guys. It's really going to add to it to have that type of character. The final thing that I can think of is what John and June went through trying to get to the SWAT van before they realized they had to draw the walkers inside. It was so comedic in the setup because they're using this ladder to get from the top of like vans to trucks to cars. And what's funny is they're having difficulty when they're on top of these. I think they were campers. They're having difficulty with the walkers trying to grab their feet when they're on top of a camper. which obviously campers are pretty tall. And then they're on top of a truck, and they're still dealing with the walkers. And then they get on top of a car. So you would think, okay, so the car is the lowest of all these vehicles, which means now the walkers can actually grab their feet. Because if they were already getting to them on top of the camper and the truck, then they can easily get to them on top of the car. No. Because these walkers are not dangerous on this show. So instead of grabbing them like they were on top of the truck whenever it's more difficult to get them, so grabbing them isn't going to be as effective, now they don't grab them. They just sort of reach for them. They're just like, I'm going to get you. I swear I'm going to get you. I promise. Eventually I'm going to get you. Damn, you're like so close, but so far. I've said it before. Give me consistency. That's all I want. That's all I want. I just want some consistency. If you're going to show that 50-something walkers against a glass door can't break it, don't suddenly have the glass door be broken randomly in the next shot that you cut to. If the walkers are grabbing at them at the top of a truck and they're barely getting at them, but they are at least pulling a little bit and they're causing some issue, when they get on top of the car, make sure the walkers continue to give them even more issue because now they're easier access. Because the car is not as tall. But they don't do that because then they would actually have to deal with the fact that these characters could be in danger, and we don't want to deal with that fact. We don't want to deal with the fact that these characters could be in danger when they're going from the top of the car to the top of the truck that they end up getting stuck on, and John falls on top of the ladder, which is supposed to once again inject tension in this show, because as we know, this show just loves to kill off main characters from walker attacks all the freaking time. So whenever this happens and they inject this tension that we're all supposed to feel, I'm just sitting here going, yeah, I mean, he should be dead, because if they are going after them as hard as they've shown before, then they would be on him as soon as he fell on the ladder. But instead, they're moving so slow. I'm gonna get you. It's bad. It's really bad. Again, I shouldn't be surprised. I know how the writing is on the show. I know the writing team is awful. I didn't think it would get this bad. I thought it would at least improve a little bit. I thought it would be slightly enjoyable, but I forgot this show can get really, really bad. And so that's where we are. I'm just going to make it through to the end of this season because, like I said, I'm trying to watch all of the Walking Dead shows because I do want to see where these stories go. And so I'm going to have to put up with the shit too. And I think I did say this whenever I first started back with this show. It's been a while since I've really gotten to rage at a show and release some of the aggression I have pent up inside. And this show, I wasn't sure if it was going to give it to me because it got halfway decent just with some problems in the last season. Like it was still overall pretty bad, but it wasn't rage worthy. Now we've reached the point of, no, this is so bad that it's aggravating. And the amount of, not just the story, how bad the story is, the amount of times that they set up a scene that doesn't make sense. And it would just take a few seconds to think about it and go, let's set this up differently so that it makes sense why this is going to work out the way it is. Whether for the better, for the worse, whatever. Let's just think about it for a second and go, let's not put the walkers behind glass doors because that's not going to make sense whenever they don't break it down and then suddenly it's broken down. Let's do something different. Let's show maybe something that the priest does. I don't remember his name now. Let's have something he does when he goes there to put the wooden board back. Let's have something he does cause this situation. No, we're just going to have the glass randomly break. It's easier. We don't have to use our brains at all to come up with it. It's just going to happen. And now tension, guys. Feel the tension. Ooh, what's going to happen next? I'm pretty sure that's everything. I'm trying to make sure I cover everything that is shit about this episode, and I think I have. Nothing about this episode was really good. I was not enjoying myself at all. A lot of that is just down to Morgan's not in it, and his story is the only thing that's slightly interesting, even though they're not handling it well. Like, even John, there's not really much with him. He's still a fun character to have around, but there's nothing going on with him. Like, he and June are just together, and that's kind of it. So even he's not really bringing me the same enjoyment that he was last season. So all in all, this show is shit. I don't see it changing anytime soon. With all that being said, those are my thoughts on these two episodes. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these two? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Fear the Walking Dead reviews. Also check out the channel. We have a lot of other reviews on here, so check those out if you have time. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. Now we'll talk to you all later. Peace out.